Welcome to Fearless with Jason Whitlock. I am Jason Whitlock, your host. Happy Thursday. Thank you for joining me. Today I'm excited, but I'm a little bit sad. I got to be real. Anytime we get to the end of the WNBA season, I get a little emotional and sad. The WNBA season, WNBA has been so important to my sports journey. I mean, I'm a lifelong WNBA fan, spanning back 3-4 months, that I've really been passionate about the WNBA. And anytime that the season comes to an end, I get emotional. It kind of rivals the end of football season for me. And you know what a long history I've had with football. Same thing over these past 3 or 4 months with the WNBA. My, historical knowledge and appreciation of the WNBA is incredible. And so with Caitlin Clark ending her season and the WNBA season coming to an end, I'm a bit emotional, but I'm going to talk about it. There are some interesting things that happened last night in the Fever's loss to the Connecticut Sun in a very good game that I want to tip my hat to both teams. And I say that in all sincerity. There's no sarcasm when I say tip my hat to both teams, because I was impressed with the Connecticut Sun last night. And all seriousness, their defense, incredible. Their hustle, they rallied around each other and fired up and super competitive and wanted to put an end to the WNBA season and Caitlin Clark, and they did that. Hats off to them. All sincerity, much respect. But as an Indiana Fever fan, as a Caitlin Clark fan, as a person that's interested in what's fascinating about sports, I'm very sad. But I'm also, I got a mix of emotions. And so I just want to start our theme today, and Steve Kim and Butter will join me, and later in the show we'll talk about the Giants-Cowboys game that plays tonight. We'll talk about the Los Angeles Lakers, and they're mulling their plans for LeBron James and Bronny James to be on the court together at the opening of the season. That's how important play is to the NBA, that, they haven't made a mockery of the sport by planning in advance how they're going to treat LeBron's unqualified son playing in the NBA alongside LeBron. They're mulling plans on how to celebrate this momentous occasion, this historical occasion, when someone's unqualified son gets to play in the NBA just so LeBron can pleasure himself, so he can pleasure himself. I'll just leave it at that. I could say a more coarse word, but I've just reminded myself, admit I'm a Christian and I don't want to do that. So we'll talk about that. That I think everybody is looking forward to be able to watch LeBron pleasure himself in front of an NBA arena, a television audience. Who doesn't want to be there? Who doesn't want to witness that? That's what sports is all about. It's all about one individual and their pleasure. I don't blame the Lakers for going through special plans to treat this 40-year-old man like a toddler. First birthday party. I'm going to be a tiny bit too sarcastic today, and I need to cut it out because what I'm about to say about the Caitlin Clark and the Fever and the WNBA season is actually very serious. But I want to thank First Cup Coffee before I get into that. Today's episode is brought to you by First Cup Coffee, a Christian-owned patriot coffee company that stands for core values, family, and building community across the nation. First Cup's freshly roasted beans are delivered in ground or whole bean pods and bulk. Go to firstcup.com, use the promo code FEARLESS, and save an additional 10% on your order. And if you subscribe, add another 10% to your savings for the life of your subscription. Thank you, First Cup. Gets me going every day. And this is actually my first cup. Let's get into last night's game. And I want to start with the big picture because it ended. The game's interesting, and I'll give you my breakdown of what happened in that game. But I want to give you the big picture and where we immediately went to as soon as Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever were eliminated. Alyssa Thomas, Connecticut's best player, or Connecticut's most hyped player, went to the podium and started complaining about Caitlin Clark fans. Indiana Fever fans, they're the most racist, and what I had to deal with was the worst thing in the world. Oh, my God, I'm a victim. Did you not see the tweets on X and on IG? Oh, it's so painful. It's Indiana Fever fans, and it's just – I'm from Indiana, guys. I'm an Indiana Fever fan. Grew up an Indiana Pacer fan. Obviously, I'm a Caitlin Clark fan if you've been watching this. Alyssa Thomas winning a game and going immediately to the podium to whine and complain and to smear a group of sports fans. Oh, they're just so racist in the things that they said, and we just got to do something about it. And then the WNBA in their kowtowing and bending the knee to these angry. I'm a Christian, but they're lesbians. These angry lesbian, black entitled women that think, oh, the world should just throw rose petals at our feet. We are the queens. She goes immediately to the podium and starts whining and calling me and other Indiana Fever fans racist. Play the clip.
Honestly, it's been a lot of nonsense. I think in my 11-year career, I've never experienced the racial comments from the Indiana Fever fan base. We had her face on a serious matter that happened in this world, and it's unacceptable, honestly. And there's no place for it. And we've been professional throughout the whole entire thing, but I've never been called the things that I've been called on social media, and there's no place for it. And basketball is headed in a great direction, but nah, we don't want fans that are going to degrade us and call us racial names. I mean, we already see what's happening in the world and what we have to deal with in that aspect. And, we come to play basketball for our job and it's fun, but we don't want to go to work every day and have social media blown up over things like that. It's uncalled for, and something needs to be done, whether it's, them checking their fans or this league checking. There's no time for it anymore.
Someone walk me through it, because she's speaking in riddles and perhaps she doesn't know it. But Alyssa, walk me through. We don't want to have to go to work today and then she said, and have social media. Do you work on social media? Is that what does she travel? I think, where did they move Twitter to, or X? Did they move it to Austin, Texas? Was this game in Austin? Is X still in San Francisco? Was this game in San Francisco? Where exactly did she travel to work and get invaded by social media? They played in an arena somewhere, I would imagine, in Connecticut. If they had played a road game, it would have been in Indiana. She goes into an arena. Is social media there waiting for her as she walks through security? Anytime I've gone into an arena and gone through a metal detector, there wasn't the little Twitter bird or what. Do they still even use that? But Instagram wasn't there waiting for me. Instagram and Twitter, these are choices we make. There's an easy way. The league doesn't have to get involved. The Indiana Fever don't have to do something to get you away from social media. Put your phone down. Don't download the apps. Don't engage. Don't hold the Indiana Fever responsible for people whose tweets you don't even know who the author is. It could have been somebody from Connecticut pretending to be an Indiana Fever fan, or someone from Connecticut who doesn't like you because you're a whiny victim 24/7. And we all know what this really is. It's an attack on Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark's the wrong face for this league because her fans are so racist. Where have I heard this argument before? Oh, Donald Trump may be fine, but the MAGA people, they're terrible. They're the deplorables. They're a threat to democracy. Again, that's me. I'm a MAGA person. I'm allegedly a threat to democracy. I'm allegedly the black face of white supremacy. If I don't go along with whatever these black feminists say and all their victimhood and whining, in my 11 years, I've never dealt with what I've dealt with. You know why? Because no one cared about your league before Caitlin Clark. There were no opposing fans. You barely had home fans. And so no one cared. A couple 300,000 people were watching your games before Caitlin Clark. Playoff games. And so now people showed up and you're dealing with what everybody deals with on social media. You've got 14,000 followers on Twitter. That ain't much of an audience, baby girl. You ain't catching a lot of strays. There was the other comment that she made, and someone hit me. Replay her comments again, because she said something about someone's face on a historical event or something. And I was like, and this is the first time I caught this part of it. I'm like, is she talking about me and us and Caitlin Clark on the Roots poster or the Roots? What is she talking about? Did someone put Dejanay Carrington's face on something? I don't know. Play the clip all over again. I need analysis. Those of you in the chat, let me tell you what you hear. What is she alluding to? Perhaps I'm just confused and don't know what she's alluding to. Maybe it was Dejanay Carrington that was on something. I don't. Well, she was on our poster. I don't know what Alyssa Thomas is talking about. If you're in the chat and you know what she's talking about, let me know. Am I reading too much into this thing? Is she potentially talking about our thumbnail from yesterday or 2 days ago, the nailed thumbnail? Let's play the clip again.
Honestly, it's been a lot of nonsense. I think in my 11-year career, I've never experienced the racial comments from the Indiana Fever fan base. We had her face on a serious matter that happened in this world, and it's unacceptable, honestly. And there's no place for it. And we've been professional throughout the whole entire thing, but I've never been called the things that I've been called.
And play it all over again. Now play it all over again. I want to hear it one more time, and I need to be extra focused. Play it again.
Honestly, it's been a lot of nonsense. I think in my 11-year career, I've never experienced the racial comments from the Indiana Fever fan base. We had her face on a serious matter that happened in this world, and it's unacceptable, honestly. And there's no place for it. And we've been professional throughout the whole entire thing, but I've never been called the things that I've been called on social media, and there's no place for it. And basketball is headed in a great direction, but nah, we don't want fans that are going to degrade us and call us racial names. I mean, we already see what's happening in the world and what we have to deal with in that aspect. And, we come to play basketball for our job and it's fun, but we don't want to go to work every day and have social media blown up over things like that. It's uncalled for, and something needs to be done, whether it's, them checking their fans or this league checking. There's no time for it anymore.
So there's a meme on X, Hadley's telling me, with Dejanay Carrington as Floyd, as George Floyd, and Caitlin Clark as a cop. Can we find that meme, Hadley? Can we find that? Because I'd love to know what she's talking about here. But here's my issue. And like yesterday, you guys heard me talk about Dan Campbell and what NFL athletes and other athletes are going through in terms of fans tracking down their phone numbers and calling and harassing them, fans doxing them, fans, waiting for them after games to boo and shout at them. And I called all that foul and out of bounds. Hey, that ain't, don't do that to Marlon Humphrey. Don't do that to Daniel Jones. Don't do it to Dan Campbell. Hey, this is going too far. Those are real things. And if Elisa Thomas was telling me that people were waiting for them before the game, after the game, and yelling racial slurs at them or yelling inappropriate things at them, I'd be on board. But she's talking about Twitter and Instagram. And so I sit here, she's got 14,000 followers. And it's really easy to ignore, and most people don't know who she is in the sports world. The only reason why people even know who she is because of Caitlin Clark. And she still only got 14,000 followers on Twitter. She doesn't have much of a brand. But Alyssa, I've been on Twitter since 2009 or 8, somewhere around there. The abuse, the things that are said and have been said about me will be said about me today. Don't miss me with, oh God, we got a couple of mean tweets. I get called a coon, or Uncle Tom. I get called every name in the book over social media and Twitter. That's the price of admission. I don't need anyone to shut down social media. I don't need anyone to protect me or protect my feelings or, oh my God, when I go to work and then I go open up social media. You know what? If I didn't like it or couldn't take it, I would delete the app. Problem solved. But the WNBA, because it's a woke league and because it's leaned into people directing their hatred of Caitlin Clark at Caitlin Clark fans. And these WNBA players, part of their argument, why they kept Caitlin Clark off the Olympic team, oh, we just don't want to deal with her fans and all of that would come along with Caitlin Clark. We must continue to downplay and mistreat Caitlin Clark because her fans are so toxic. And Alyssa Thomas just can't deal with it when she goes to work. Cut it out. Delete the app. Quit coming up with these excuses to hate Caitlin Clark, to abuse Caitlin Clark. You want to talk about racism? Go read DeJounte Carrington, your teammate's Twitter feed. She hates white people, and she makes it real clear over her social media. Start there. Instead of preaching at and wagging a finger at fans over social media, turn to your teammate and say, hey, cut it out. But that's not what she's going to do or anybody's going to do. They're all going to, oh, it's Caitlin Clark. It's her fans. It's her fault. It's Caitlin. Oh, Caitlin's just this burden for the league. We don't want those types of fans. We don't want to have to deal with what everybody else has to deal with over Twitter. We're special. We're tall women who occasionally make layups. That makes us special, and we deserve a special level of treatment. I told you I got mixed emotions about the end of this WNBA season. They're mixed because I don't have Caitlin Clark and that team to watch anymore, but I'm excited that the season has ended so that Alyssa Thomas and all these other whiny victims can deal with the fact they have no fans, and now that Caitlin Clark has exited, they'll get to deal with the traveling gay sex cult that they're comfortable with. That's what WNBA games have been. Traveling freak-offs, WNBA arena to WNBA arena. P. Diddy in charge, or Megan Rapinoe's freak-offs at WNBA arenas around the country. It can return to that. No one will be tweeting about you, Alyssa Thomas. But the WNBA, in its infinite wisdom and cowardice, put out a statement. The WNBA is a competitive league with some of the most elite athletes in the world. While we welcome a growing fan base, The WNBA will not tolerate racist, derogatory, or threatening comments made about players, teams, and anyone affiliated with the league. League security is actively monitoring threat-related activity and will work directly with teams and arenas to take appropriate measures to include involving law enforcement as necessary. Tweets. All over tweets. I got mixed emotions. They got me hooked. I've paid attention to the WNBA. I've watched a lot of WNBA. There's many of the players that I enjoy, and I'm about to talk about some of them because they're on the Indiana Fever, and some are outside the Indiana Fever. But this constant victimhood, you win an important playoff series, you should be happy and celebrating. Now, oh my God, I got mean tweets. I'm going to get on my phone after this game, and people are going to tweet mean things at me, and the WNBA must stop it. I am woman, hear me roar. We wouldn't have paved roads if you were in charge. No one would have a pot to piss in if you were in charge. And then, but I want equality with men. No, you don't. You want special privileges. Period. End of story. Now, men, Jason Whitlock and the rest of you guys, you can go on Twitter and have opinions and get blasted and called every name in the book. But over here in the WNBA, this group of butch dykes, we're too sensitive. And we can't take mean tweets. Now, Brittany Griner can marry us and beat us up in a domestic violence incident. We're good with that. But a mean tweet? That got me fired up. It's all Caitlin Clark hate. And y'all can hate me. It frustrates you. And then Christy Sides, who I mostly like, and I'm going to defend today because people are upset with Christy Sides. I'm going to defend her today. But she hops in on this. What is she doing? This bowing down to these victims and this victim mentality constantly. What are you doing? It's all just Caitlin Clark hate. It's hatred. And she did this, I think, before Alyssa Thomas. But Christy Sides has got to be smart enough to know that this gang of animus and destruction, they're coming for Indiana Fever fans, Christy. That's your fans. That's who's being smeared. Play Christy Sides going along with this garbage.
Just the outside noise that these guys had to endure from game one till now. It's a lot of hurtful, hateful speech out there that's happening, and it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable for any of these guys. This is basketball, and this is their job, and they're doing the best they can. And when it gets personal, to me, that is just when, there's no reason for it. And these guys have to listen and watch that. Social media is their life. That's just what they do. And they have to read and see these things constantly. And just all of the stories that are made up, just of what people see or think they see. I was given a technical because I said F you to the officials. False. So it's just this new world that we're in, and it is just not acceptable when it gets personal for these guys to have to deal with that. So they handled it and kept showing up and kept coming in our locker room and kept finding ways to get better. And we freaking landed in the playoffs after we started 1-8. And that is an incredible story to talk about.
I get what Christy Clark's trying to do, and I get where it's coming from, but you got to be smarter than that. And she's inexperienced. Just her second year as a head coach, her first year with any type of spotlight dealing with the media. The Indiana Fever need to help her better. Hey, guys, gals, you can't take the heat. Go back to the kitchen. It's a man's world you have entered into. You're in a league subsidized by men, the NBA. You're playing a sport that men play at a super high level. If you want to step out here and you want equality, we need to be paid the same as men. We need to fly private like men. But, oh my God, we can't take the abuse over social media that men have been taking since the invention of social media. They need to change up social media. You're not built for this. Delete the app. It's that simple. It's not hard. Tell Steve Kim to begin his travel. I'm not going to get to him because I haven't said everything that I needed to say. Steve had a tight window today for when he needed to be done. And clearly, I'm not done with this yet because I haven't even talked about the game yet. And there's stuff I want to say about the game. Tell Steve, I'm sorry. Enjoy your weekend. Thank you. Now, let me take a moment, hopefully gather myself. When I talk about preborn, I get in a more positive headspace, and hopefully it'll lift me up out of some of this negativity that I'm in right now. Reminds me of who I am and what our mission is. But I'm going to talk a little bit here about preborn and our mission here at Fearless. Then I'm going to circle back and continue my discussion about this WNBA season ending and what we saw last night. So this is my moment of zen, talking about our life purpose here. And it's about saving life. It's about respecting life in the womb. It's about helping expecting mothers navigate an unexpected pregnancy. And women that are sitting around thinking about abortion, I want to help you. I want to introduce you to preborn, and I want to introduce men and women to preborn, because it's the best organization in America that's supporting the sanctity of life inside the womb, shares our worldview that life begins at conception, provides expectant mothers an ultrasound that introduces the baby's heartbeat and image to the mother while the baby's in the womb. Once the mother sees that image, gets that introduction, she is now twice as likely to choose life. When she chooses life, preborn really comes in and provides that woman the support and help, the financial help she needs throughout the pregnancy and throughout the first 2 years of that baby's life. Preborn is amazing, and it's an amazing feeling to support preborn financially. I do it. A lot of our audience does it. I want most of our audience, I want all of our audience to do it. There's two ways to give. You can hit pound 250, say the keyword baby, pound 250, keyword baby, or give the way that I prefer to give, preborn.com/fearless, preborn.com/fearless. It's one of the greatest feelings. I give monthly. I give spontaneously. I give to preborn because it's one of the great things you can do as a human being to support life in the womb. Preborn's in this fight. It's an amazing feeling. They send you updates about the babies' lives you've saved. It's amazing. Preborn.com/fearless. Back to my WNBA discussion and Caitlin Clark being overhated and how all of this conversation around Indiana Fever fans, it's all just misguided over-hatred of Caitlin Clark and pointing the finger at those guys, they're the racists, when really y'all are the racists. The people coming up with excuses to hate Caitlin Clark and the new fan base that she brought and justifying, again, as we talked about yesterday, Nike won't even put out a Caitlin Clark commercial, won't put out a Caitlin Clark shoe because Nike has decided that they must bow to the angry black feminists, the Black Lives Matter movement, the feminist movement overall, the whole whole identity politics movement of, oh, no, yes, Caitlin Clark is the biggest star in sports, but Nike, in order to promote equity and fairness and diversity and inclusion, you must spend all of your money promoting Asia Wilson, someone most people don't know exists and don't care about. You have to do that out of racial equity and racial justice. Don't lean into Caitlin Clark, who could make you a bunch of money when your stock is tanking and you've had to fire your CEO. Lean into Asia Wilson, a 6'5" person no one really knows or cares about. And it's not our fault. Tim Duncan, as was pointed out yesterday, great basketball player. No one cared. He didn't sell shoes. Allen Iverson did. Michael Jordan did. Kobe did. LeBron did. Tim Duncan was great. He didn't sell shoes. He wasn't an exciting player. No one cared. They sold shoes with the guys that sell shoes. Caitlin Clark could sell shoes, but no. Her fan base is hating. It's the wrong type of fans. They tweet mean things to Alyssa Thomas. This stuff is a joke. And what I will give Christy Sides credit for, and I know many people will be calling for Christy Sides to be fired. I'm not going to be one of them at this point. I think she did walk into, and they inherited a very tough situation. The WNBA has been ignored for 27 years. Now it comes with not just an incremental increase of media attention and fan attention, but with a monumental increase of media attention and fan attention. And no one in the WNBA was prepared to handle this. They have bad leadership in Kathy Engelbert. They have bad leadership in Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA. These are weak, ineffectual leaders that don't know what they're doing. They've been installed. They don't have any real instincts. They're not qualified for their jobs. And so they've allowed the Caitlin Clark abuse to go on and on and on while everybody pretends, oh, it's Caitlin Clark's fans. They're on Twitter and they're horrible. They focus on that rather than the real persecution and inappropriate behavior of their very own WNBA players. Those have been the real bigots. They hate Caitlin Clark. And I occasionally try to defend Cheryl Swopes, but at this point, it's just crystal clear. I haven't spent much time trying to defend Angel Reese. I've spent a tiny bit, but I just can't. Angel Reese is a hater. And her whole media popularity, her whole platform is built off the back of Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is Kunta Clark. She's the actual slave that everybody else is exploiting for their benefit. Angel Reese included at the top of that list. Now Alyssa Thomas jumps in and says, oh, let me get my piece. Dejanay Carrington jumps in, let me get my piece. I want to play you a clip last night. This is how Dejanay Carrington, as we've talked about earlier this week, in game 1, poked Caitlin Clark in the eye intentionally, in my view, and in most rational people's view. Your hands don't curl up, you jab people in the eye, and you pull your hand back immediately after you've accomplished your goal. Nothing happens to Dejanay Carrington. This isn't really even discussed. She gets questioned about it once. Caitlin Clark gets questioned about it. Caitlin Clark takes the high road. She's not engaging. Hats off to Caitlin Clark. But this is how lightly this is taken. First thing I want to show you is I want to unpack it in context. Marina Mayberry hits a dagger 3 that basically decides last night's game very late in the fourth quarter. And it comes as a byproduct of, Caitlin, I love you to death, but girl, if you don't work on that defense, you ain't winning no championships. Not in the WNBA. Love you to death. Got to improve defensively. Let's play the clip of the dagger 3 from Marina Mayberry. And you can see, now Caitlin Clark's tired. She's played the entire game, but she falls asleep on the defensive end, and this has been a pattern, and Mayberry gets open for the dagger 3 that decides the game. Play the clip.
Bonner, Thomas, no one's on Mayberry! Money! Clark is
Caitlin Clark throws up her hands.
Mayberry
if replay the whole thing again, because now that I want to replay the whole thing. I want to the spot where Caitlin Clark is on Mabry, falls asleep. Mabry curls out to the 3-point line. Caitlin Clark doesn't pick her up, and dagger 3 ends the game. Wide open 3. That's bad defense on Caitlin Clark's part. We can talk about her being tired, and she was tired, but this has been a pattern. She falls asleep on the defensive end. Baby girl, you got to improve that, period. Now, they hit the dagger 3. Now I want to move you to the celebration of the dagger 3 that Mabry had with Dejanay Carrington. Play the clip. You see that? It's just a joke. Poke me in my eye, she tells Dejanay Carrington, poke me in my eye, and they just laugh it off. See, Caitlin Clark got poked in the eye and injured, black eye. You can still see the black eye last night. There was no foul called during game 1 when it happened. There was no investigation of whether this was a flagrant act and deserved any type of penalty. Totally ignored. Nothing. Your most important player, the person that's driving all of your engagement, everybody's making money off Caitlin Clark. She gets gouged in the eye by a player who clearly hates her. We've seen the previous behavior this season. We've seen her tweets. Clearly hates her. WNBA, there's no statement being made. Hey, we got to be more careful. We got these ladies with these long fingernails. We can't have this happen. We investigated this. We don't think it's intentional. We do think it's intentional. None of that happened. It's an actual joke that it did happen. Something that the players can joke and laugh about and mock later. But oh my God, let an Indiana Fever fan tweet anything to any player, and the WNBA is going to release a statement. And Alyssa Thomas and these other girls are going to hold press conferences. Have you seen these tweets? Oh, how hurtful they are. Sticks and fingernails may put out my eye, but words, that's what really kills me. This league is insane. And that's why I have mixed feelings. I'm going to miss Caitlin Clark. Hopefully I don't see her on the basketball court again until April, until next WNBA season. But I'm so glad I don't have to watch the rest of this. I've been so turned off by most of these players in the WNBA. It's incredible. No wonder they don't want us. Because if we look at what they are, we get repulsed. I'm just sorry. And I'm trying my best. Let me move to something more positive as it relates to this game. Because I'm just telling you, there was some good that came out of this season and came out of last night. I didn't tell you guys this previously, but dig up a picture of Erica Wheeler, the backup point guard for the Indiana Fever. I want to put her on screen at some point while I talk about this. But the Indiana Fever, for the first time, I thought, last night, rallied around Caitlin Clark. Backs to the wall, going to get eliminated from the playoffs. They needed to rally around Caitlin Clark and provide her a measure of protection from all this animus she's dealing with in the league. And last night they did it. And Caitlin Clark was spicy as hell last night too. And I loved it. She wasn't backing down. Caitlin Clark is not a punk at all. Not at all. What's her name? Dewana Bronner, the 6'4" small forward that guarded her. Caitlin Clark got into it with her, got a little pushing match, talked some smack back. Caitlin Clark is not a punk. But what she has needed is for her teammates to rally around her and protect her and support her. And so last night, and this won't be discussed anywhere. It certainly wasn't discussed on the broadcast. The broadcaster kept he made a couple of references, or at least one reference, to the Connecticut Sun, and so passed the ball to her fiance for a bucket. They talked about that. There's 2 girls on the Connecticut Sun that are getting married, and they talked about that. But they didn't talk about Nylisa Smith, who started 37 of 40 games during the regular season for the Indiana Fever. She's their power forward. She's their enforcer. I think she played 13 minutes in this series. She started the first game and played maybe 6-7 minutes. I can't remember. And then last night she came off the bench and played 4 or 5, 6 minutes. But they basically had to bench Nylisa Smith, their power forward, the person who should be their enforcer, the person who should be protecting Caitlin Clark. She should be Bob Probert. For those of you that know hockey, the hockey goon for the Detroit Red Wings for a lot of years, that's what Nylisa Smith was supposed to be. They had to bench her because she's in a love affair with Dejanay Carrington. They're dating. They're in a relationship. And Nylisa Smith doesn't play effectively, doesn't like to play against her lover. So they had to bench their enforcer. And so you know who turned into their enforcer last night? And I loved it, was Erica Wheeler, their backup point guard. She's like 5'8", 5'9". She's undersized, little black girl. And she went out there in the first half, and they needed an extra ball handler out there, because they'd pass the ball to Fag Benlay or Lexi Hall, and they would freeze up. And for some reason, Indiana's offense is terrible, and they wouldn't bail them out. So they needed an extra ball handler out there, and they brought in little Erica Wheeler, who plays most games, but they brought her in for extended minutes in the end of the first half. And, man, she got in there and started knocking heads. She started knocking folks. She knocked Dejanay Carrington to the ground. She knocked around Marina Mabry. She went after any and everybody. For those of you that watch The Wire or like The Wire like I do or did, there was a character named Snoop who was an enforcer for Marlo Stanfield. And I was like, look at little Erica Wheeler out there filling up them vacants, dropping bodies for Caitlin Clark. It was inspiring. I'm just telling you, as an athlete, and it was a reminder of what athletics used to be about. People from different backgrounds, people from different colors, having each other's back in a brawl, in a competition, in a sporting event. Doesn't matter what color you are. That's my guy. We wear the same jersey. We practice. We sweat together. We got the same goal. I got your back. Erica Wheeler had Caitlin Clark's back for about a 9-minute stretch, and she got hurt right before halftime. She missed a wide open layup and fell to the ground. And anyway, but that's neither here nor there. Erica Wheeler loved it last night. Loved you. Loved the energy. It was just a reminder. This is what sports are. We throw aside our petty differences. That's my girl. That's my teammate. That's who I'm in the foxhole with. I'm gonna go out here and knock heads to make sure that my teammate gets treated properly. That she was like an offensive lineman protecting her quarterback. It was awesome to see. And this is why I love sports. It brings us together. So hats off to Erica Wheeler. And not that the rest of the team, I felt like by removing Nylisa Smith from the lineup, the rest of the team was now in order and rallied around Caitlin Clark and brought the right amount of energy and effort and intensity. And then some crazy, weird things happened. I don't know what happened to Kelsey Mitchell. Moment was too big for her, but, that was not the Kelsey Mitchell we've seen all season. Threw up some bricks, had a chance at the end of the game, misses a three, gets her own rebound, has a wide open shot, panics, and throws the ball to midcourt and is stolen. And the next thing you know, the game is over. And I'm like, Kelsey, just fire the shot back up. Certainly don't throw. But the Connecticut, and this is where I have to credit the Connecticut Sun. They snatched her confidence with their defense and with the way they made her work on the opposite end. She had to guard 6'4" DeWanna Bronner on the other end of the court. Kelsey Mitchell was just exhausted. Her confidence was sapped. She played an awful game. And if she had just played an average game, I think the Indiana Fever would have won last night. Caitlin Clark, the logo 3, it's not your friend. It's a nice gimmick. It's a nice sales point. It's a nice talking point. But the logo 3 is not your friend. In college, you got away with it. You're so much better than the competition. You're not going to get away with it in the WNBA. The logo three is a wasted shot most of the time. And it was for you all this season, and it was for you last night. I think she shot 3 of 12 from three-point range, and I think maybe 5 of 25 for the entire the 2-game series. She was 5 of 25, but that's 20% from three-point range. Not good, but beyond that, and Indiana has to do something to work on its offense. There's just not nearly enough movement in their offense. And this has been going on all season. It just like exploded last night, but it's been going on all season. People just stand around and look as either Kelsey Mitchell plays one-on-one, Caitlin Clark plays one-on-one, or they toss the ball into Aaliyah Boston. She goes one-on-one, or this season too often, they toss it to Nylisa Smith and she would go one-on-one while everybody just stood around. There was a moment last night, I believe in the fourth quarter, where Fagbenle got trapped with the ball and literally 3 Fever players just walked away from her. I mean, they just like gave up. No one cut and tried. This is a post player who has no business with the ball outside the paint, and they just left her standing out there with a defender who had her tied up in a pretzel, and everybody just stood and looked, and then they just started inching their way back down on the defensive end, like, well, the shot clock will bail her out, and it'll be a turnover. It was crazy. Here's the excuse I'm going to give them, and this is the bow I'm going to put on this whole conversation. And this is a sympathetic take towards everybody on the Indiana Fever. We just watched one of the most unique experiences in the history of sports. And I'm talking about the Caitlin Clark experience. And it's gone on nonstop. The Caitlin Clark experience has been nonstop since last October, early November. For a year straight, if we dial the clock back a year, let's start October 1, 2023. She was the biggest star in college sports. She took that mantle in March and April of 2023 with her first tournament run in 23. It's like, holy cow, she's the biggest star in all of college sports. She's bigger than any college football player. She's certainly bigger than any college basketball player. So she gets that mantle in March and April of 2023. When practice starts back up in October and games start back up in early November or late October, she's now the biggest star in college sports, and she's playing at Iowa. And then the clock rolls into the NCAA tournament. And by the NCAA tournament, I was like, this girl's the biggest star in sports. By February, March of 2024, it's like, holy cow, she's the biggest star in all of sports, and she's a woman. This is very unique. No woman's ever been asked to carry this burden. No, it's never happened in America. And then when you throw on the animus and the jealousy and the media being against her and all the legends of the game, what was the girl, Lynette Woodward? She ain't break my record. I was playing with a real size basketball. She wasn't. All of that. And it's like, oh, wow. And then obviously you have Angel Reese still trolling her and the people in the media being uncomfortable. And Paige Beckers is really the best player. And Paige Beckers, she understands her white privilege. Caitlin Clark doesn't. And so here's a woman that becomes the biggest star in sports earlier this year, February, around that time, and goes all the way through the NCAA tournament, ends in early April. The next week, or within a week or 10 days, they have the WNBA draft, and ratings fly through the roof. These women all dress up appropriately, mostly as women. The WNBA draft is this huge success, and it's like anybody that's paying attention, like, this is the biggest star in sports. And then A week or two later, she's into a WNBA camp. And then by early May, she's playing WNBA games. And the momentum just keeps going and going. And then she gets snubbed for the Olympics. And then, all the hatred from Cheryl Swopes and everybody in the WNBA, it just all keeps building and feeding on itself. She's having this incredible deal, and people are sitting out here asking her questions. I forget the guy that asked her the really stupid question, and she just said, hey, look, her answer wasn't these exact words, but it's just like, hey, I just want a ball. I don't want. And then WNBA players got upset. We don't have the privilege of just playing basketball. We have to care about these social issues. She's playing in a social issues league that wants to wear shirts that say vote, wants to scream Black Lives Matter, wants to push some sort of political agenda. She just wants the ball. She just wants to be the best basketball player. And she's caught up in this political deal, and she's caught up in this racial discussion, and she's dealing with Nike, an organization that got her on a bargain basement deal and is telling her, well, we're going to wait to promote you until we're done promoting Asia Wilson. And she's in the middle of all of these racial discussions that she has nothing to do with, wants nothing to do with, and then they're demonizing her fans. And these Indiana Fever players are all caught up in the middle of this too. They're all having conversations they used to not have because no one cared about the WNBA. And so these guys could go play their game in anonymity with very little pressure. No one really cared. And now they're in this bubble. Every arena they go to is filled to the rim. There's all this conversation. It's all exhausting. And they got a little small 3-4 week break because of the Olympics, but it still wasn't much of a break because a lot of the discussion was about how come she ain't on the Olympic team? But they get a short little break. For one straight year, everything, the weight of the world and all these political and racial discussions centered around Caitlin Clark. And I look at last night's game and go, yeah, she's worn out. And so are her teammates. The play with Fag Benlay where they had her tied up and everybody just kind of walked away, I was like, oh, man, they can't wait to get to Cancun. They're going to give their best effort. They wanted to win that game, but I think there was also part of them to just, let me get to Cancun, let me get out of this bubble. I need a break. They were exhausted. And that's why I have to tip my hat to them for the effort that they gave, the way they rallied, the way they fought, the way Caitlin Clark revealed that she's not a punk, the way that Erica Wheeler revealed, I got your back. Because that's I've been waiting all season. And I know Aaliyah Boston has been supportive of Caitlin Clark, but Aaliyah Boston has a different personality. Aaliyah Boston, from my vantage point, is one of the nicest people on the planet. I would love to meet Aaliyah Boston. She seems like an incredibly nice person. If I got in a fight, I would love to know Erica Wheeler. If I needed to win something and be super competitive, I'd like to know Erica Wheeler. And so I just, hats off to Caitlin Clark, hats off to the Indiana Fever, hats off to Christy Sides. And not the perfect coach, but a young coach that helped them get through. And even if they fire her, which I kind of hope they don't, that she needs to be given a chance to grow with this team. But if they fire, she will have laid an incredible foundation for the next coach. It's kind of like Mark Jackson, what he did for the Golden State Warriors. The next coach is going to have it much easier because there is a foundation of real chemistry among a handful of players that are very important. Obviously, I think Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell have real affinity. I would put Aaliyah Boston in that. Obviously, Lexi Hull. Obviously, Eric Wheeler. You can add some athletic pieces around now a core foundation of players that are all moving the same direction, all have Caitlin Clark's back, will know what they're getting into next season. And now maybe you could work on the details. We got to have a legitimate offense that has some ball movement, man movement, that's not as easy to defend as Caitlin Clark just standing around the top of the circle and everybody just throw it in and watch someone go one-on-one. I think that may be all I want to say. Did I get it all in? And Steve Kim, I apologize. And for those of you that wanted me to talk about the Giants Cowboys, I apologize. We'll do that maybe a little bit tomorrow. Although I promise you guys, Friday we've taped a conversation about Mark Robinson, the candidate for governor, speaker at roll call. Many of you have been asking, hey, what's your take, Jason? Are you going to say something about what's the controversy that has engulfed Mark Robinson? I do that tomorrow with Virgil, Anthony, and TJ Moe. I promise you all that we would play it on Friday. If something super duper interesting happens in tonight's Thursday night football game, we'll be back and talk about the Cowboys Giants tomorrow, but while still playing the Mark Robinson story or conversation we had. And I'll dump on LeBron and Bronny and the Lakers. I'll get to that later. So anyway, let's play tomorrow. Butter, did you have anything you want to say? You just had to sit here and listen to me ramble. Did it? Stop the music. Stop the music. Stop the music. I'm sorry. Did anybody say anything interesting in the chat?
Yeah, they said they think you covered it all. One funny thing, they said you let Butter oversee the comments in their section and put folks in the Butter box on the WNBA chat. They said I could be a good moderator for them so they don't have to see all that.
Huh.
Yeah.
I see that someone named Rome sent a super chat. He said it very early about get the Butter box ready. We got to work on this because I want to incorporate the super chat and some of my critics, really. I want to hear from my critics from the chat and from the super chat so that I can, because I looked yesterday, there were some interesting questions that I could have responded to. We got to incorporate that better into the show.
Yeah.
But I almost lost track of that you were even here when I started. I get emotional about it.
You were in the zone, man.
Yeah, I really was. Hadley just pointed out to me that since last November, Caitlin Clark has played 81 games. That's a lot. And hold on. Justin, we have the meme that I was talking about earlier that allegedly Aaliyah Thomas was so offended. But could we play that before I get out of here? Man, I'm sorry. I'm really not sorry. I want to that's Caitlin Clark with the knee on the neck. It should actually be the reverse. It should actually be Caitlin Clark as George Floyd with Dejanay Carrington's fingernails on the neck and throat of Caitlin Clark. We may have Ren come up with that meme for ourselves and really try to trigger Aaliyah Thomas. But anyway, now I think, are we ready? You got anything else, Butter?
No, I think we're good.
You have any reaction to anything I said there? Or did you disagree with any of my rant?
I don't know that I disagree with it. I mean, I got some takes on the whole thing, but why don't we save that? Because
you better get it in now because I may not talk about the WNBA again until April.
Well, okay.
Trust me, I'm not going to be watching. I'm not going to be watching.
I was surprised Steve Kerr didn't jump out in that press conference and start chiming in a little bit. It was feeling a little. I think overall, just me as an average sports fan, I watch to see a winner and a loser. That's why I like sports, because there's a winner and there's a loser. And I just feel like sometimes, and not only with WNBA, but it just feels like the lecturing to me. I feel like I'm getting lectured to, and it's a turnoff.
Starts with the T-shirts. Vote. I didn't come here for politics. I would like to go to the game, play ball. Maybe I'll put a T-shirt on, play ball and shut up.
Now, that's why I'm there. I'm that customer, but maybe the customers have changed. I just know for me, I want to see a ball game. I want to see a winner and a loser and move on. I don't want to go to class.
There you go. All right, now play tomorrow, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Freedom, looking for a breakout, feeling like a standoff, nothing in life like freedom. Came like a fighter, striking like a ladder, making all this moves for freedom. I want freedom. No negotiation, my sister, no relation. We all just wanna have freedom. Sitting on the corner, never been alone. I'm breaking my back for freedom. Blessed, we are living, get back. We are receiving, all deceiving. We all wanna be free. We want freedom. I wanna be. I just want.